musika every Saturday from 2 to 4 in the afternoon dito sa inyong nag-iisang himpilan, Kool FM. Mapapakul ka dito!
Lahat ng drama, lahat ng tawanan, lahat ng iyong all-time hits. Ang tanging huntahan ng Masang Ngamaw. #1 sa Mega Manila, nationwide pa. Broadcasting from TVH Group of Networks. Dito lang sa inyong iisang himpilan. Kool FM! This is koolNews Early Edition.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to koolNews Early Edition. Yes, today is July 19, 2024, and we will be getting into wait, before we get into that, today is Friday, July 19, 2024, and we will be getting into the latest headlines that you need to know from yesterday and today, as always, that we do here in koolNews Early Edition. And we will be here until 9 o'clock in the morning. All right, so let's begin. Okay, so let's get the news source right now. Let me just double check right now. Actually, let me check the live stream real quick. Okay, we are live. Yes, we are live. I can see there. Okay, I can hear the live streaming on TGON production, so that's a good thing here. All right, so yes, I am doing it from my phone because I just woke up. So yeah, let's get into the first to the news now. All right, so we have some. Well. What do we have? Authorities have arrested a woman for selling a 6-day-old baby for 25,000 pesos through social media, the Department of Justice said on Thursday. In a statement, the DOJ said agents of the National Bureau of Investigation Human Trafficking Division arrested the woman in an entrapment operation in Muntinlupa City on July 16. The DOJ did not name the suspect, but a separate statement issued by the NBI identified her as Christina Paul. The operation was conducted in coordination with the Department of Social Welfare and Development, DSWD, the DOJ Interagency Council Against Trafficking, and the Cybercrime Monitoring Center. The Bureau acted on a tip from the Monitoring Center about the person allegedly selling a baby on the Facebook page. After some intelligence gathering, the NBI had an agent posting as a buyer, establishing communication with the suspect, who introduced herself as a midwife and offered to sell a 6-day-old baby. At the meeting place, they agreed upon, the preparator introduced herself and showed the baby in exchange for money. About confirming her intent to sell the newborn baby, the agents signaled for the arrest, the DOJ said. The recovered baby was turned over to the DSWD's custody. The DOJ said the suspect underwent in proceedings on Wednesday on charges of violating Section 4G or Republic Act Number 9208, or the expanded anti-trafficking in persons and trafficking, Republic Act Number 7610, or the Special Protection of Children Against Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act and the Cybercrime Prevention Law. The successful operation underscores the ongoing efforts of the government to combat human trafficking and protect the most vulnerable members of society, the DOJ said. Wednesday arrest came nearly 2 months after the DOJ filed qualified trafficking and child exploitation charges against a 29-year-old woman who sold her 8-day-old son, along with a government employee who allegedly acted as her intermediary. The National Authority for Child Care and the agency attached to the WSD early drew attention to the emergence of a black market for illegal adoptions on social media. On May 30, Justice Assistant Secretary Jose Dominic Cifano IV said Meta, the company behind Facebook, had taken down at least 500 accounts linked to the sale of babies online. But we think those are not enough. It is still prevalent. There are still many accounts that had to be closed down, he said. The Metro Manila Development Authority on Thursday said it would deploy personnel to assist persons with disabilities who will have difficulty using the ramp connected to the footbridge on EDSA, a structure that had earned the agency a fresh round of bashing on social media for being too steep, especially for those in wheelchairs. We would like to inform the public that the MRT Metro Rail Transit Fee has a height restriction that the MMDA complied with, so it was not possible to construct the elevator to the level of the footbridge, the agency said in a statement on its Facebook page. Pictures and videos of the run on the EDSA Philam Crossway station, which was integrated on Monday, went viral after an incident among what PWDs noted how the ramp was proving to be unsafe for its intended users. One of the videos showed a man in a wheelchair trying to descend the ramp facing backwards, holding on to the rails for control and requiring help from a companion. The ramp connects the footbridge to an elevator which PWDs can use when going into or leaving the station. It's not the perfect it's not a perfect design, especially for those who are in a wheelchair, but it's a big help for senior citizens, pregnant women, and other PWDs who don't have to use the stairs, the MMDA said. The agency maintained that contrary to how the ramp appeared in the viral images, it is not that steep when one walks on it. The ramp, the agency said, was put up in a limited space, but without it, the elevator would not be integrated to the structure for the convenience of commuters. In an interview with reporters at the event in Manila, MMDA acting chair Romando Artes apologized for the inconvenience, but parried criticism that the ramp's design was ill-conceived. We consulted our architects and engineers at our traffic engineering center. This is really what we could do given this situation, he said. We really brainstormed so that we can put the ramp up despite the challenges. The only option was to put it up as it is, with the ramps a bit steep, or there will be no elevators at all and our countrymen will have to use the stairs. In a way, it was a very difficult decision on our part. We know that we will draw criticism for what we did, but now again, it's not only those in wheelchair who will use it. Based on our observation, there will be more users who are senior citizens, pregnant women, and PWDs who don't require a wheelchair, he added. Arda said the MMDA would consult an architectural firm for a possible solution. In 2018, the MMDA drew flag for the elevated Edsa Kamuning footbridge, which pedestrians also found too high and steep. The agency then defended its construction, saying it was intended to curb jaywalking. The Commission on Elections (COMELEC) has accredited the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting and National Movement for Free Elections as citizens' arms for all three elections scheduled next year. In a memorandum dated June 13 but released only by the poll party on Thursday, the COMELEC approved the continuing accreditation of PPCRV and NAFREL as citizens' arm in the any and all elections, plebiscites, recalls, and referenda in 2025, including the midterm elections, Bangsamoro Parliament elections on May 12 and Barangay and Sangguniang Tapatan elections on December 1st. In the innumerable elections and democratic processes conducted by this commission, PPCRV and NAFREL have always been reliable sources of observation and recommendations in the effective exercise of the right to suffrage. As such, the undersigned sees no reason for said organizations to be required to file petitions for accreditations as citizens' arms, Commonwealth Chair George Garcia said in his memorandum. The PPCRV is headed by business leader Alvin Singson, while information technology expert Angel Avia Jr. is the national chair of NAFREL. Historically, the COMELEC only grants the petition for accreditation of organizations to become citizens' arm for a specific election. But due to a policy change in September 2022, the poll body for the first time accredited both the PPCRV and NAFREL for all other sites and elections until 2025. As citizens' arms, the groups are tasked to assist the COMELEC in its voter registration drive, ensure the integrity of the voters list, and help in voter education and information activities. Vice President Sara Duterte remained buoyed about her reasons for resigning as Department of Education DepEd Secretary, saying she did it for personal and professional reasons. It's a long story and we need to sit down to discuss it, she told reporters on Thursday after a program where she turned over leadership of the DepEd to Senator Juan Edgardo Angara. Duterte said one reason was slightly personal and had something to do with what she discussed with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. before I agreed to run as his vice president. Another was professional, while the other was about the country, she added. Duterte denied that First Lady Lisa Arieta Marcos had something to do with her decision, saying the latter had nothing to do with her job. Arieta Marcos earlier criticized Duterte for not coming to the president's defense after her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, accused Mr. Marcos of using drugs. Her resignation from the cabinet further backed speculations of a split between her and her former running mate in the 2022 national election. Still, Duterte said she and the president had a discussion and that he asked her to help the administration's candidates in the 2025 midterm elections. She added that she had a separate meeting with her father, who also made a similar request for candidates of his Partido Democrático Filipino. The vice president, however, said she did not make a commitment to either one because I need to think first about what would be my next direction. What would be my direction for the midterm elections next year? During her speech at the turnover ceremony, Duterte told Angara, "Welcome to the chaos," drawing laughter from him and the audience. She recalled some of the programs that began under her leadership in the DepEd, such as the launching of the new Matata curriculum, the review of the senior high school curriculum, and funding and launching of DepEd's mental health program, among others. For his part, Angara said he would hit the ground running and we want to learn from all of you here as we go along. Fugitive and televangelist Apollo Kibuloy is not playing by the rules, so why does he deserve the court's protection? This was the question posed by the Office of the Solicitor General to the Supreme Court as it urged the hard rebuttal to dismiss Cupolas' petition, challenging the Senate's orders for his arrest and detention over his refusal to attend an inquiry into allegations against him. The Kingdom of Jesus and Juan Miguel Sabiri at the request of Senator Risa Ontiveros, chair of the Senate Committee on Women, Children, and Family Relations and Gender Equality, which is conducting the inquiry, Cupolite, the delay impeded and obstructed the investigation into allegations of human trafficking, rape, sexual abuse, and violence against him. In a 45-page comment filed on July 8, the Senate, represented by the OSG, urged the High Court to reject the KOGC founder's petition to void the upper chamber's orders against her and to deny his request for a temporary restraining order. State lawyers argued that the Senate inquiry was in aid of legislation and the contempt, arrest, and detention orders were valid. The OSG added that Kipo's invocation of his constitutional right against self-incrimination was misplaced and he was not entitled to seek relief as he comes to court with unclean hands. Citing publicly available sources, it said the fugitive preacher had no intention of submitting himself to the processes of the courts and the Senate, as he earlier declared that he will not subject himself to injustice done under the clock of a Senate hearing. The OSG said the clean hands doctrine required that a person who seeks equality must also do equality. Here, the petitioner has adamantly refused to attend said hearings. He issued public statements disparaging the hearings as bogus and incriminatory, calling the senators charlatans and liars. It added. The OSG also criticized Cupolas' move to challenge the Senate to file cases against him in courts to relations to the allegations against him. However, now that actual criminal cases are pending with the courts and warrants of arrest have been issued, petitioner is nowhere to be found, it said. Interior Secretary Benhur Abalos earlier announced a 10 million peso reward for anyone with information leading to the arrest of Kipuloy, who has evaded authorities for more than 3 months now. Okay, we will be returning later for more headlines right here on Police Early Edition. It is now 6:18 in the morning. We will be right back. Welcome back to Cool News Early Edition. Okay, let's continue now with the headlines. Okay, let's get back here. Okay, let's continue. The country's largest business organization said on Thursday it was supporting a staggered phase out of Philippine offshore gaming operators' logos in consideration of possible ripple effects this could have on other sectors. We support a tiered phase out of POGO operations in the country. First, we call for immediate closure of all POGOs operating illegally and without operating license. Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry (PCCI) President Enunina Mangio said in a statement. Second, we call on the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corp or POGOR and other government agencies involved in regulating the POGO business, including the Bureau of Internal Revenue and the Bureau of Immigration, to carefully review the mandates from license to work license and tax obligations of the POGO operators, she added. Mangio acknowledged that POGOs pose social threats, describing the industry as a breeding ground for crime, scams, and human rights violations. But the PCCI warned that their haphazard, indiscriminate, and sudden closure could lead to job losses, and the displacement of businesses and industries. Mangio said sectors that may be affected include food services, administrative support, transfer services, as well as financial institutions with outstanding loans to POGOs. Central Miguel Subiri also supported a staggered ban on POGOs over 1 to 2 years depreciation then totally banned them already. The revenue earned is not enough to justify their continued stay, which results to criminality and immorality, illegal trafficking of women, illegal employment of workers pertaining to be tourists, prostitution, kidnapping, gun running, and murders remain unabaded by mainland Chinese POGO operators, he said. It's time to clamp down and phase it out completely, he said in a private message to reporters. On July 15 and July 16, retired Supreme Court Justice Antonio Carpio and Conchita Carpio Morales, along with other members of the University of the Philippines UP class of 1975 and organizations, wrote open letters urging President Marcos to act on POGOs. These were followed by two more open letters also seeking a ban. One of the letters dated July 16 was signed by residents of Alia Alabang village in Muntinlupa City, who cited numerous criminal incidents involving Chinese lessees who worked for POGOs. His second letter, dated July 17, was signed by UP alumni. All four letters argued that POGOs were operating illegally, citing a Chinese law that prohibits all forms of gambling and that POGO was violating its own regulations. They also urged Mr. Marcos to order POGO to cancel the license of POGOs serving the Chinese market. In a joint statement on Wednesday, the Makati Business Club, Financial Executives Institute of the Philippines, and Management Association of the Philippines said they fully support the recommendations of the Department of Finance and National Economic and Development Authority to ban POGOs. Other signatories were the Foundation for Economic Freedom, Justice Reform Initiative, and UP School of Economics Alumni Association. The clamor for a ban has grown in the past few years following an increase in illegal activities linked to POGOs, which include kidnapping, torture, and human trafficking, among other crimes. The Department of Agriculture is considering extending its Program 29, which sells a kilo of rice at only 29 pesos, to a period of 1 year to assess the long-term viability, Secretary Francisco de Laurel Jr. said on Thursday. It's a large-scale trial to determine if we can sell rice at these low levels for an extended period with government subsidy, de Laurel said. The Agriculture Secretary explained that the 1 year trial period would allow the DA to gather and elevate the data comprehensively from farm to retail and determine what needs to be done to ensure the program's sustainability. This will be a 1 year program so we can review the entire chain from buying seeds, planting them, utilizing fertilizer, sourcing fertilizer, harvesting, warehousing, up to the retailing stage, and determine where we could save on cost to lower price to consumers. The DA unveiled the program last month in selected areas in Metro Manila and Bulacan province to sell discounted rice to the vulnerable sector of the population on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. The vulnerable sector is pegged at 6.9 million households, or around 34 million Filipinos. These include senior citizens, single persons with disabilities, and beneficiaries of the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, or 4Ps, the government's conditional cash transfer scheme for the poor. Under the program, they can purchase up to 10 kilos amount of good quality rice for 29 pesos per kilogram, much lower than prevailing market prices from Kadiwa centers. The DA earlier announced that the initiative or initiative coverage would be expanded to include areas outside the metropolis by August or September and eventually to all 1,500 municipalities nationwide. The rice sold at Katiwa centers is purchased by the Food Terminal Incorporated, a government operation under the DA, from the inventory of aging stocks of the National Food Authority. Other sources I But aside from NFA stocks, the DA is also looking at sourcing rice from the contract growing arrangement between the National Irrigation Administration and farmers, and if needed, through importation by the FDI and other DA control corporations to support the 29 pesos program. The DA said it intends to lower the selling price under its initiative, initiative if the cost of the stable food softens further as indicated by current global trends. And now for the West Philippines Sea coverage, Manila should not expect miracles from the expansion of the maritime communication mechanism excuse me, mechanism on the South China Sea, considering China's unresponsive behavior and past incidents, retired Supreme Court um, senior associate Justice Antonio Carpio said on Wednesday. Carpio expressed his doubts to inquire regarding the expanded mechanism agreement earlier this month between Beijing and Manila, establishing direct contact between the representatives of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and China's President Xi Jinping. It's somehow a good sign that at least some communication has been established. But what we called last time, no one was answering when there was a need to talk to them because there was an incident, Capio said, but we should not expect it will result in miracles. Carpio was referring to the August 4, 2023 incident at Ayukin Sagadawa show when a China where a Chinese I'm sorry, where a China Coast Guard CCTV ship blocked and fired its water cannon at a Philippine Coast Guard PCT vessel on the resupply mission to BRBC Arbare, the military's outpost in the shoal. According to the Department of Foreign Affairs FTA then, Beijing did not immediately answer Manila's call during the incident. According to National Security Council spokesperson, Assistant Director General John Malaya, they were calling China on a special landline established to deal with such encounters. No one was answering, Malaya said in an interview a few days after the incident. Our side expressed disappointment on why we kept calling, but no one was answering. They answered virtually, but only when the tension was over. On Wednesday, the DFA told the Inquirer that the arrangement on improving Philippines-China maritime communication mechanisms provided several channels. These include lines between the offices of the two presidents, the FDA, the FDA and China's military Ministry of Foreign Affairs, including at the Foreign Secretary and Undersecretary levels, or through their designated representatives, and between the CCG and PCG. The FDA is in discussions with the Chinese side on the guidelines that will govern the implementation of this arrangement, DFA said. Excuse me, once again. The maritime communication mechanism was first established when Mr. Marcos met with Xi during his state visit to China in January 2023, according to the Presidential Communications Office. The direct line was tuned to avoid miscalculation and miscommunication. The PCO reported that it was Mr. Marcos who proposed the establishment of a direct communication channel between the foreign ministries of China and the Philippines. The agreement was among over 1,000 deals made during the president's January 3 to 5 state visit, which also formalized procedures for contacts between the two countries. The communication mechanism was to be open between the Maritime and Ocean Affairs Office of the FDA and the Department of Boundary and Ocean Affairs of China's FA, according to the PCO. Excuse me. Dino Mahit, president of Think Rank, Strait-based ADR Institute, shared Capillo's sentiment. Apart from its implementation, it is imperative for China to recognize its obligations under international law, such as the Abreu Award and the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. There is a need to ensure that this new agreement is more than just a piece of paper, Mahit told the Inquirer on Wednesday. China and the Association of Southeast Nations, ASEAN, discussed as early as July 2015, the setting up of a Foreign Ministers Hotline to deal with emergencies in the South China Sea. In September 2016, leaders of ASEAN and China supported the creation of a hotline to respond to maritime emergencies in the implementation of the Declaration of Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea, a non-binding agreement to de-escalate maritime conflicts among claimants to all or parts of the South China Sea. In January 2020, the PCG explored ways to step up cooperation with the CCG during a meeting of a joint Coast Guard committee of the Philippines and China. Excuse me once again. The official notes on the high-level meeting held on January 16, 2020 included a hotline communication mechanism and communication protocol for engagement at sea between Coast Guards that would serve as provisional operational arrangement between the PCG and CCG. Excuse me. Alright, now we will be getting ready for cool weather forecasts. So I'll give you a moment. Alright, excuse me once again, but yes. Now we will be getting ready for cool weather forecast. Actually, I should rephrase it, but and now it is time for cool weather forecast. Take two. And now it is time for cool weather forecast from Pagkasa weather specialist Alcizar. Okay, Alcizar D. Aurelio.
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Narito po ang ating weather update. Halos sa buong bansa ay makakaranas po tayo ng maulan na panahon dahil sa habagat at low pressure area. Ang mga lugar po na makakaranas ng mga kalat-kalat na pag-ulan at thunderstorm ay sa Central Luzon, Metro Manila, Calabarzon, Bicol Region, Mimaropa, buong Visayas at buong Mindanao. Paalala po sa mga kababayan po natin sa mga nabanggit na lugar, patuloy pa rin tayong mag-ingat at maging alerto dahil nandiyan pa rin po ang banta ng pagguho ng lupa o pagbaha. Yung pong lalabing bahagi po ng Luzon, Yung po nakikita, fair weather po tayo ngayong araw. Usan makakaranas po tayo ng bahagyang maulap hanggang sa maulap ang paporin, maliban sa mga isolated na mga pag-ulan. Yung pong habagat, inyong makikita, naapektuhan na po o naapektuhan pa rin ang malaking bahagi po na ating bansa. Inyong makikita, halos buong bansa ay nakaranas po ng maulap na kalangitan na may mga pag-ulan. Yung pong low pressure area ay nasa bandang West Philippine Sea, nasa layong 135 kilometers west-southwest ng Calapan City, Oriental Mindoro. Samantala, meron pong nabuong pangalawang low pressure area nasa loob po ng ating Philippine Area of Responsibility. Kasalukuyan, wala pong epekto ito sa ating bansa. Nasa layong 880 kilometers silangan ng Eastern Visayas. Ito pong low pressure area nasa West Philippine Sea sa araw ng Sabado o bukas ay inaasahan po natin kikilos pakanluran at maaari pong bukas nasa labas nito ng ating Philippine Area of Responsibility. Itong pagkilos o inaasing pagkilos ng pangalawang low pressure area ay January west-northwest at maaari pong lumapit po sa may bandang east ng Northern Luzon. Sa ating maging lagyan na panahon bukas, araw ng Sabado, asahan pa rin po natin ang kalat-kalat ng pag-ulan at thunderstorm doon na naman po sa may Ilocos Region, Bataan at Zambales. Dahil po itong habagat ay unti-unti na pong kikilos pakaluran dahil itong low pressure area ay may impluwensya kay habagat. Kaya bukas, itong habagat ay maapektuhan na lamang po ang kalurang bahagi ng Northern Luzon at ng Central Luzon. Sa linggo naman ay patuloy na itong lalayo itong habagat sa ating bansa, kaya ang buong bansa ay makakaranas po ng fair weather, kung saan ay bahagyang maulap hanggang sa maulap ang kalangitan, maliban lang po sa mga isolated na mga pag-ulan. At yun naman pong pangalawang low pressure area na buo po sa ating PER. Bukas, Sabado at Linggo, inaasahan po natin wala pang epekto sa ating bansa. Paalala, patuloy pa rin tayo maging update sa ating pinapalabas na public weather forecast, weather advisory, lalo po itong binabantay nating dalawang low pressure area at kasama rin po itong epekto ng southwest monsoon o habagat. Ang araw pong sisikat sa ganap pong 5:36 ng umaga. Ang araw lulubog sa ganap na 6:29 ng hapon. Yan pong ating weather update mula sa Pag-asa. Ako po si Alzar D. Aurelio.
Alright, that was the cool weather forecast from Pag-asa Specialist Alzar D. Aurelio. And it will be repeated later at the 8 a.m. hour of koolNews Early Edition. Alright, we will have more headlines coming up right here on koolNews Early Edition as we will return after this ad break. Welcome back to Cool News Early Edition. Let's continue with the headlines, and it is now 9 minutes before 7, and when the clock hits 7, we'll be reintroducing our opening billboard to welcome viewers who are joining with us on that hour. Okay, let's get into more headlines. Charges are being prepared against those found involved in the issuance of tourist birth certificates to Chinese nationals in Santa Cruz Town. Double the store, the regional office of the National Bureau of Investigation (NBI) here said on Wednesday. At least two alleged fixers have been identified and 5% notaries public have been tagged in an ongoing investigation, according to the NBI official here. NBI Double Director Arcelito Albao confirmed the discovery of up to 1,200 questionable documents coming from the local civil register LCR of Santa Cruz, all released between 2016 and 2021. Last week, initial NBI findings placed the number at around 200, covering the period from 2018 to 2019. Abo said the certificates were all issued to Chinese nationals who some Filipino names through late registration of birth. There is money involved. There's a syndicate behind this, and we are tracing the fixers and their addresses, he said in a press briefing. We already identified one of two fixers, and there is a possibility some of the LCR officers or employees of that particular municipality are involved in this. There are fixers coming from Luzon, Manila. They have a contact in Santa Cruz, the official added. The investigation is also checking the involvement of about 5 to 7 notaries in the public in the scheme. In a statement, Santa Cruz Mayor Jose Nelson Sala Sr. said the municipal civil register had long been relieved of the post and reassigned to another office. But in view of the controversy that came to light only last week, Sala said the concerned person, whom he did not identify, was given until yesterday to explain. According to the mayor, a parallel investigation by the local government had so far discovered around 1,408 registrations made in the town in the period covered by the NBI probe. Volunteers are going to check into documents for fraudulent entries, he added. We do not tolerate this kind of illegal transaction under my administration, Salas said. Abo said the NBI will also seek the cancellation of a birth certificate and that the Bureau had asked for more documents issued by the Santa Cruz LCR prior to 2016 and after 2021. Last week, charges for violation of the passport law and falsification of public documents, among others, were filed against a 21-year-old Chinese national, Hui Hanglin, who allegedly assumed the Filipino identity of Hanson Lee Mosnaro based on a falsified birth certificate he obtained from Santa Cruz in 2013. Alpo said he got Lin's records from the Bureau of Immigration, confirming his identity as a Chinese national. Lin was arrested on July 9 after he applied for a Philippine passport at the Davao Consular Office here of the Department of Foreign Affairs. This was after the FDA alerted the NBI when the man provided contradictory statements about his identity and could not speak the local language widely used in Santa Cruz, which he claimed to be his place of birth. According to Albao, when he was still assigned in NBI Pampanga about a decade ago, the town of Santa Cruz would already crop up when his fellow agents apprehended foreign nationals, sometimes even Filipinos, for using falsified birth certificates. But it is only now that this has directly come to the light because of the West Philippine Sea maritime dispute with China and the investigation on the Philippine offshore gaming operators. The worst scenario here, he said, is after they have that birth certificate, they consider themselves as Filipinos, making them eligible to purchase properties, have a driver's license already, and national ID. For us, it poses a threat to national security, he added. After successfully fending off hundreds of attempts to breach its cybersecurity systems, the Philippine Navy is investigating one of its own members for allegedly taking part in hacking its network and downloading its database. Navy Public Affairs Chief Commander John Percy Alcos on Thursday said the Navy's Insider Threat Program was able to detect an intrusion carried out by a group of hackers called Blood Security International or BlockSec, where one of the personnel was supposedly a member. Members of the BlockSec were also involved in other such incidents, such as the 2016 hacking of the Commission on Elections website, but most of the members have already been arrested, according to National Bureau of Investigation Director Jamie Santiago. The Navy was able to respond quickly before the hackers could advance far into the network. We get hundreds of attempts to breach our systems, but so far the NICTC, or Naval Information and Communications Technology Center, has not reported any actual successful breaches in our system, he said. We diligently taken our immediate measures. That's why the second and third attempts were not very successful, he said in a joint press conference with the NBI in Quezon City. We are currently intensifying cybersecurity measures across all fronts. We are enhancing our monitoring systems, conducting regular vulnerability assessments, and enforcing training programs for our personnel, he said. The Navy member voluntarily surrendered when informed that he was tagged as a person of interest following the network infiltration detection, Alo said. The Navy declined to identify whether he was a civilian or a uniformed personnel. It also did not provide details as to when the hacking happened, pending in the investigation. One of the Navy's personnel's hacking group companions was able to obtain 10 gigabyte worth of data, including the disposition of vessels in the West Philippine Sea, dating back to 2022 that can be considered as open source information shared to the media during regular press briefings, Alos noted. Two civilians, supposedly in constant communication with the Navy personnel, Dylan Exiver Valdez and Kaninkin Luke Abales, were arrested in separate operations by the NBI on Tuesday in relation to the hacking incident. All three individuals who are now facing charges for violating the Cybersecurity Prevention Act and Data Privacy Act were presented to the media during the press conference. Naval Inspector General Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad said the Navy personnel involved would face appropriate sanctions, and an investigation was also underway to find out whether there were other members within the organization involved. He also laid out the threat of the recent hacking attempt to the Navy security. From the mindset of a hacker, it's more about the accomplishment that you are able to breach, not so much the data. They get the sense of fulfillment from being able to breach or break through your system, he said. It is exactly 7, and now we will get ready for the 7 a.m. hour of koolNews Early Edition. Please stand by.
This is koolNews Early Edition.
It is 1 minute after 7, and it's 7:01 in the morning. And if you have just joined us at this hour, well, welcome to koolNews Early Edition, where we will give you where we will give you the latest news headlines that you need to know that you might have missed from yesterday and today. So let's get into the round of headlines. Excuse me. Let's start with the international headlines as Donald Trump will get a hero's welcome Thursday as he accepts the Republican Party's presidential nomination in a speech capping a convention dominated by the recent attack of on his life. The 78-year-old will address the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, hoping to build momentum toward a November victory over U.S. President Joe Biden and the second term in the White House. As a resurgent Trump, who was found guilty on 34 felony counts in New York just 7 weeks ago, ready readies for a Trump hand primetime appearance, the Biden is in full crisis mode as pressured from within the incumbent's Democratic Party votes for him to end his re-election bid. Barack Obama has reportedly told allies that he believes Biden, his vice president for 8 years, should seriously consider the viability of his candidacy, the Washington Post reported. Excuse me. Several leading Democratic lawmakers have called on the 81-year-old president to drop out in the wake of his disastrous debate performance against Trump last month, in which he appeared tired and confused. Supporters have been lining up all week to applaud the former president for his bravery since Saturday's assassination bid by a gunman at the Pennsylvania rally. As some of his loyalists blame Democrats' rhetoric for the attack, Trump said he had torn up for a more aggressive version of his keynote address in favor of one to unite our country. Excuse me again. Some of the delegates at the convention said they were keen to hear from Trump about last weekend's shock attack that very nearly ended in disaster. I'm just grateful we're going to hear from him. Tina Horlacher, a 50-year-old convention delegate from Utah, told AFP. It's a miracle that his life was spared, and I really believe it was God's hand. Trump has a 90-minute speaking slot from 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., according to a source familiar with the schedule. Also set to address the convention are shirt-ripping 80s wrestling icon Hulk Hogan and Trump's longtime friend Dana White, who is chief executive of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Trump has attended multiple UFC bouts as he seeks to lock in younger male votes. The schedule notably shows no speaking slot for former First Lady Melania Trump, a break from the tradition at modern-era U.S. nominating conventions, where spouses routinely take the stage seeking to personalize the candidates. Trump has seen his polling lead expand since Biden's dismal debate performance threw his party into chaos. The Republican campaign has even been talking of Trump's chances in Democratic strongholds like Minnesota and Virginia, potentially forcing Biden funds and manpower away from defending his blue wall in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Trump's keynote address will be watched by millions, closing the convention by promising what his team calls a new golden age for America. The 4-day gathering opened Monday with a vote to confirm Trump as the party's nominee after he won almost every state's primary contest. It has been the first convention over which Trump has a total control after a 2016 edition hampered by party divisions, and a second appearance in 2020 in by the COVID-19 pandemic. The schedule was designed around his image, with teams for each day playing on his "Make America Great Again" rally cry. Trump set the tone when he walked slowly into the reserve Ford Arena on the opening day, looking emotional and with a bandaged just 2 days after the shooting. The week also saw Trump name right-wing Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio as his running mate. The 39-year-old author of Hillbilly Elegy, a best-selling memoir about growing up poor in working-class America, is a former Trump critic who became one of his strongest backers. Trump himself was a diminished figure after his 2020 election loss and a subsequent riot at the U.S. Capitol by his supporters, but he has spent much of the last 4 years reshaping Republican politics, installing close allies, including his daughter-in-law Lara Trump on the Republican National Committee. The the Mercurial tycoon has effectively crushed dissent within the party. Excuse me? Hey, excuse me again. And speaking of Trump, US President Joe Biden was reportedly coming closer to dropping out of the White House race Friday, as allies, including Barack Obama, were said to have expressed concerns that he can no longer win the 2024 election. The 81-year-old Democrat was holed up at his beach house with COVID, as multiple news media reports that said he was considering the future of his re-election bid amid mounting opposition within his party. The New York Times cited several people close to Biden as saying they they believe he has begun to accept that he may lose in November to Republican rival Donald Trump and may have to drop out, with one quoted as saying, "Reality is setting in." It quoted the person as saying it would not be a surprise if Biden soon endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to replace him as the Democratic candidate. Again, former President Obama, meanwhile, had reportedly told allies that Biden should seriously consider the viability of his candidacy, the Washington Post reported. His office did not comment. The Axios news outlet separately quoted point figures as saying that Biden could drop out as soon as this weekend, while broadcaster NBC quoted a person close to Biden as saying, "We're close to the end." Biden's candidacy has been in peril for 3 weeks since a disastrous television debate against Trump. His campaign, however, denied the reports and insisted he was staying in. Baseless conjecture from anonymous sources is a scoop. Campaign official TJ Ducklow said on X. Harris made no comment on the crisis in a speech in the battleground state of North Carolina, but praised the president, saying the contrast between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is like night and day. She also lashed out Trump's new running mate, J.D. Vance, and said it was the most existential, consequential, and important election of our lifetime. While rival Trump prepares for his start term at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee later Thursday, Biden finds himself in both personal and political isolation. His personal honor way normal. He will continue to conduct the business of the American people, O'Connor said in a letter released by the White House. His COVID diagnosis came at the worst possible time for his campaign, forcing him to cut short a trip to Las Vegas and isolate at his holiday home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Biden told reporters on Wednesday that he was doing well, but was later seen looking frail as he slowly descended the steps of Air Force One. The drumbeat of Democrats coming out against Biden is growing, with 20 members of the House of Representatives having openly called on him to quit. The Democrats in Congress, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries both reportedly met with Biden in recent days to warn that his candidacy threatens his party's prospects in November's election. Influential former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi added to his woes by privately telling Biden he cannot win and could harm Democrats' chances of recapturing the lower chamber. CNN and the New York Times reported. White House National Security Spokesman John Kirby meanwhile said Biden was being kept up to speed by his team despite the political turmoil and his illness. However, the split screen with Donald Trump could not be more stark, with Trump set to formally accept the Republican nomination in Milwaukee as Biden hunkers down. Republicans find themselves newly unified after former President Trump, who at 78 is just 3 years younger than Biden, survived an assassination attempt on Saturday that left him with a bandaged ear. All right, it is time check. It's 30 minutes up to 7. It's 7:30 in the morning. And of course, we will be bringing you more headlines right here on koolNews Early Edition. So stick around. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Cool News Early Edition. Let's continue with the headlines. With we will still cover international headlines, and then we will be getting back into national headlines. All right, so let's continue. Unrelenting heat is blanketing scorches of southern and eastern Europe, with thousands of cities on red alert as scorching temperatures fuel wildfires, strain power grids, and make daily life unbearable. There was no let up Thursday as the mercury again hovered near or above 40 degrees Celsius. In many countries, with worse expected in the coming days. Europe is no stranger to baking summer spells, but climate change is making heat waves longer, stronger, and more frequent, sustaining dangerously high temperatures even at night. Greece, which recorded at its earliest ever heat wave this summer, weathered through its 11th straight day above 40 degrees Celsius on Thursday. Nights in the capital Athens have hit 30 degrees Celsius as heat rolls unbroken from one day to the next. On Thursday, authorities closed the Acropolis, the country's most visited attraction, during the hottest hour for a second day in a row. Some outdoor work, like construction and meal delivery, have also been suspended. Cooler weather is expected until July 26. In the heart of Athens, tourists sought precious shade as Sam Rizek, a waiter, drank chilled water to keep the heat at bay. It's not easy. It makes my work harder. The 90-year-old told AFP. Here in Greece, we have to get used to it. In Italy, zookeepers gave animals eye blocks to ward off heat stroke as temperatures soared, while 40 cities, including Florence, Palermo, and Bologna, were placed on red alert. To make matters worse, swarms of locusts thriving in the hot conditions have invaded fields and orchards in the eastern region of Emilia-Romagna. The high temperatures and the lack of rain have favored the massive proliferation of one of the insects most feared by farmers, said Italy's main agricultural lobby, called the Diretti. In Hungary, which has been under a maximum heat warning since July 7, searing temperatures have warped an airport runway while the state-run train operator urged passengers to take air-conditioned bus instead of its outdated rail cars. Croatia and Serbia this week consumed a record amount of electricity as residents switched on air conditioners to beat the heat. It followed an early start to the Balkan summer in June when a sudden heat wave saw power grids overwhelmed in Albania, Bosnia, southern Croatia, and Montenegro. In Romania, gripped by a heat wave since Saturday, evening temperature high records have stumbled up as blustering daytime highs have carried into long, suffocating nights. Without air conditioning, it's unbearable, 20-year-old Alexandru Tudor told AFP in Bucharest, which is on its highest state of alert. It's very hot in the evening too, and we can't sleep. Alan Kerman from University College London, London said prolonged heat waves could turn deadly if the human body was not given ample chance to cool up at night. This is what we need to be worried about. Temperatures are not falling at night, said the professor of disasters and health. The past 30 months have been the hottest ever recorded, and heat waves have already this year hit North America, Mexico, India, and Thailand, to name a few. The EU's climate monitor Copernicus said the average temperature for June across Europe was 1.27 degrees Celsius above the 1991 to 2020 average, making the monthly joint second warmest on record. But this was largely felt in southeast regions and Turkey, with Western Europe experiencing a slow start to summer with near or below average temperatures for June. Paco Boso from Cordoba Our southern region of Spain said the heat so far had been completely bearable compared to past years. At this time of year, normally we would be as frustrated, but so far we are doing really well, he said. But this doesn't look like set. This doesn't look set loss. Spain declared its first heat wave of the year on Thursday, with temperatures forecast to hit 44 degrees Celsius in some southern areas in coming days, accompanied by hot and uncomfortable nights. A wall of heat from Africa driving up temperatures was also expected to bring sand and dust from the Sahara across Spain, the state meteorological agency said. In all these regions, deadly wildfires have accompanied the tender dry conditions. Two firefighters died on Wednesday battling a blaze near the southern Italian city of Matera, while a separate fire near Rome shrouded the capital in a choking yellow haze. In Greece, where 40 new blazes were recorded in the past 24 hours, firefighters were stretched to the limit. We're worried, veteran firefighter Konstantinos Goularas told AFP in Athens as a small group of comrades rallied outside parliament for more resources. For more resources. We don't have enough firefighters for the summer. Hans Martin Fossel from the European Environment Agency said Western Europe was often better prepared for heat waves than southern or eastern regions where the threat was much greater. Cities in Europe are clearly waking up, but most of them are not yet ready for the threat, the climate change adaptation expert told AFP. Now let's focus back on national headlines. The Philippines on Thursday said it was willing to discuss its overlapping extended continental shelf with Vietnam after Hanoi filed its own ECS or extended continental shelf claim before a United Nations body a day earlier. Vietnam filed its claim a month after regional neighbor the Philippines made a similar move, Vietnam's foreign ministry said on Thursday. The submission of the continental shelf beyond the current 270 kilometers or 200 nautical miles is to exercise the rights and obligations of state parties in accordance to the maritime framework, the foreign ministry said in a statement. This is Vietnam's third submission of an ECS, the statement added, including a submission in respect to the north area of the South China Sea or Vietnam's east area and a joint submission with Malaysia in respect to the southern part of the area in 2009. China claims almost the entire South China Sea, including parts claimed by the Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Vietnam. Its claims were invalidated in the 2016 ruling by the International Arbitral Tribunal. Beijing rejected the Arbitral Award in favor of the Philippines. Portions of the strategic waterway, where $3 trillion worth of trade passes annually, are believed to be rich in oil and natural gas deposits as well as fish stocks. Vietnam also sent a non-verbal to the Secretary General of the United Nations to state Hangoi's position regarding the Philippines. Similar submission filed last month, the Foreign Ministry said. Vietnam once again affirms its sovereignty over the Hoang Sa, Paracel, and Tuong Sa Spratly archipelagos in accordance with international law, it said. Under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea UNCLOS, coastal states like the Philippines are entitled to establish the outer limits of its continental shelf, comprising the seabed and the subsoil of submarine areas beyond its 370-kilometer exclusive economic zone, but not exceeding 648 kilograms or 350 nautical miles. On June 14, the Philippines filed a submission before the UN Commission on the limits of the continental shelf, asking the body to establish the Philippines ACS in the West Philippine Sea, specifically the Western Palawan region. The Department of Foreign Affairs took note of Hangoi's July 30 submission. The Philippines affirms its claims to its extended continental shelf in the Western Palawan region, consistent with its maritime entitlements under UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, as demonstrated by our ECS submission made on June 14. The DFA said in a statement on Thursday. Nevertheless, we acknowledge Vietnam's right as a coastal state like the Philippines to submit information to establish the outer limits of their continental shelf beyond 200 nautical miles from the relevant and lawful baselines from which its territorial sea is measured, it added. The DFA said the Philippines was ready to engage with Hanoi on possible ways to forward that will help achieve a mutually beneficial solution to such sea issues in accordance with international law, particularly UNOS. Besides filing its own extended continental shelf claim on Wednesday, Vietnam also protested against the Philippines' ECS claim, making it the third country after China and Malaysia to reject Manila's submission. Hanoi said in the note verbal that it resolutely rejects and cannot accept the Philippines' ECS claim, citing overlap with Vietnam's 370-kilometer continental shelf, which violated its inherent sovereign rights and jurisdiction. But Vietnam reiterated that it was still open to discussing and negotiating the matter with the Philippines in accordance with UNCLOS. It requested the ECS Commission to refrain from considering the Philippines submission until all the relevant issues have been resolved by Vietnam and the Philippines. In the June 2017 diplomatic communication, Malaysia's permanent UN mission said Kuala Lumpur has never recognized the Philippines' claim to its eastern state of Sabah. The government of Malaysia categorically rejects the Philippines' partial submission on the basis that the Republic of the Philippines' continental margin is projected from the baselines of the Malaysian state of Sabah, it said. This clearly disregards Malaysia's indisputable sovereignty over the state of Sabah. The Malaysian government further appealed to the UN body not to examine and qualify the Philippines' continental shelf claim. China protest. In Beijing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jun said on Thursday that China proposed and protested against Vietnam's claims. He said Vietnam's ECS infringes on China's territorial sovereignty and maritime rights and interests and violated international law, including the UN Charter and UNCLOS and the bilateral agreement between China and Vietnam on settling their maritime dispute. Lin also repeated China's protest against the Philippines submission. He said that under CLCS rules, submissions will not be reviewed if there was an existing dispute and the UN body will not evaluate the ECS submissions of Vietnam and the Philippines. Such submissions do not have any practical effect, but will only accentuate differences and exacerbate frictions, which will in no way help resolve the disputes, and said. But he said China was committed to handling the maritime conflicts through dialogue and consultation. A bicameral committee of the Philippine Congress on Wednesday approved a proposal defending the country's maritime zones, and one of the authors of the bill on Thursday said its enactment would strengthen the Philippines' legal rights in the West Philippine Sea. Negros Occidental Representative Francisco Kiko Benite said the proposed Maritime Zones Act will integrate international law into the national framework and delineate the Philippines' maritime domains, such as internal waters and archipelagic waters, territorial seas, contiguous zones, EEC, and ECS. It would boost the Philippines' association of its maritime entitlements over the West Philippine Sea, Benite said. Me. Uh, this is what happens when I woke up that early here. Shortly before he took over as Department of Education Secretary, Juan Edgardo Angara resigned from the Senate. In a letter addressed to Senate President Francis Escudero, Angara said his resignation would take effect on Thursday, July 18th. I have served our countrymen through the Senate of the Philippines for 11 years. 11 years, huh? And in that period, I have been able to shepherd landmark legislation, making quality education and healthcare more accessible, increasing the take-home pay of our workers, increasing the social pensions of senior citizens, exempting persons with disabilities from the value-added tax, giving incentives to our national athletes and coaches, and providing bigger support to entrepreneur industries, among many others. Angara said in his resignation letter. The portfolio that I'll be taking on as deputy secretary is riddled with very serious challenges. But I am confident that with your support and of the rest of my colleagues at the Senate, these challenges are surmountable, he added. Angara takes over the DepEd post on July 19 from Vice President Sara Duterte. A parley's lawmaker has proposed that the House of Representatives examine prison release mechanisms, particularly the good conduct and time allowance scheme to help decongest jails. Agri Party leads Representative Wilbur Lee filed House Resolution number 1717, saying a review may improve all convicts' rehabilitation and possibly improve congestion, which has made it hard to undertake rehabilitative progress in Philippine jails, which according to the New York Times are the most overcrowded in the world. The country's jails are overcrowded by 367% with 68% out of 478 jail facilities considered as heavily congested. This shows that nearly 3 out of 5 jail facilities are overcrowded, he added. Lee noted that the government has already increased detainee releases, reduced admissions, expanded jails, and increased paralegal services to determine convicts' GCTA, which results in their early release. The Land Transportation Office reported on Thursday that it apprehended 18,025 motorists in Metro Manila in the first half of the year 20. I'm sorry, in the first half of the year, up by 124.5% compared with 8,028 during the same period in 2023. LTO National Capital Region NCR Director Roque Versosa III said that based on data from the Regional Law Enforcement Service City Traffic Safety Unit, the largest group of violators consisted of 7,989 motorists who were caught disobeying Republic Act number 4136 or the Land Transportation and Traffic Code. These included 1,200 these included 1,227 cases involving unregistered motor vehicles in violation of the no registration, no travel policy. On the other hand, 2,412 motorists were apprehended for driving vehicles with defective accessories, device, equipment, or parts, 1,227 for driving while wearing slippers, 7,789 for failure to carry required vehicle documents while driving, 670 for reckless driving, 360 for driving without a valid license, 231 obstruction, and 227 for disregarding traffic signs. And President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. visited this city, which is Princesa, on Thursday to distribute about 99 million pesos in financial assistance to the agriculture sector in Palawan and Marinduque province, particularly to the farmers and fisherfolk severely affected by the dry spell spawned by the El Nino phenomenon that affected the country early this year. Mr. Marcos, who was on his third visit here since becoming president, distributed a total of 10 million pesos to around 10,000 residents of Procesa and Procesa Procesa City, and another 50 million pesos in cash assistance to the different municipalities of Palawan, taken from the Presidential Assistance to Farmers, Fisherfolk, and their Families Fund of the Office of the President. He also handed out 39 million pesos in PAFFF assistance for Marinduque, which was received by Governor Respitero Velasco Jr. Palawan and Marinduque both belong to Mimaropa, Mindoro, Marinduque, Rombolon, Palawan region. The president was initially set to fly to Rombolon first for the same activity, but the schedule was cut short because of unfavorable weather conditions. Secretaries Benjamin Abalos of the Department of Interior and Local Government, Francisco Laurel of the Department of Agriculture, and Lon Cachilan of the Department of Social Welfare and Development (DSWD), who were already in Romblon, conducted the distribution of the financial aid on behalf of the president. House Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romeo Aldez, who also serves as a caretaker of Palawan, first and third legislative districts, joined Mr. Marcos on the trip and also distributed stacks of rice to the beneficiaries. Excuse me again. The president said the assistant hoped to partly ease the losses suffered by the agriculture sector in Mimiropa, which has reached 3 billion pesos caused by the drought. The recent El Nino, which started affecting the country in December last year, ended with the onset of the rainy season in June. Aside from the presidential aid, the DSWD also distributed 10,000 pesos to each of the more than 6,000 beneficiaries under the Ayuda para sa Kapos ang Kita program. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources also distributed 29,850,000 pesos worth of fishing boats and other equipment and fish cages, while the DA distributed more than 900 million pesos worth of farm implements that include hard-hand tractors, rice combine harvesters, walk-behind transplanters, pump engine sets, hammer mills, corn shellers, and fertilizers. According to the president, the National Irrigation Administration would also distribute 8 million pesos worth of assistance for operation and maintenance subsidies to different irrigation associations and 500 million pesos worth of certificates that either condone or exempt landowners from paying their dues under the national and communal irrigation system. Irrigation projects valued at around 200 million pesos will also be set up in 4 areas in Palawan, while 20 million pesos will be allotted for survival and recovery program and another 30 million pesos for the agribusiness loan program in the province, he added. Mr. Marcos said the government will also provide training to farmers to teach them ways to improve production. All right, it is now 17 minutes before 8 and it's 7:43 and we will be here to provide you more headlines right here on koolNews Early Edition, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back to koolNews Early Edition. It is 10 minutes before 8, and we will continue the headlines until the 8 a.m. hour, where we will welcome new viewers and listeners who just joined koolNews Early Edition. Until then, we will continue covering the remaining headlines before the new batch of headlines at 8 a.m. All right, let's continue. I'm gonna just set up OPEC. Okay, let's continue now. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources in Eastern Visayas has strengthened its monitoring of the two Philippine eagles that were relocated last month from Davao to the forest of Red Town in Yete to ensure their safety. Lauren Claudio, chief of DNR 8, said they needed to heighten the security for the raptors named Carlito and Uswak following the shooting that led to the death of the Philippine eagle named Mangcanyon in Compostela Valley, Davao del Oro on July 8. She said they were alarmed by the killing of Mangcanyon, prompting them to take extra precautions to protect Carlito and Uswak that were set free in the forest of Oren on June 28. We will heighten our surveillance and monitoring for both Carlito and Uswak, and we will ensure that they are protected, she said in an interview on July 16. According to Claudio, transmitter devices have been attached onto the bodies of the two raptors, enabling us to monitor their presence in real time. Claudio said forest guards, both from their office and those deputized by the local government of Proren, were also assigned to the forest where the eagles were released. The two Philippine eagles, uh, Critico Bakhaga, Jeffrey, were released at the Anong ng Lopi mountain range situated in Barangay Cabana, about 40 kilometers from the town proper. Cardio said Carlito and Oswak appeared to have fully adapted to the new habitat. We are also optimistic that these two eagles will lead to an increase in the eagle population in our forests. Before the onslaught of Super Tycoon Yolanda, sightings of Philippine eagles were common in Yete and even in Samar, she said. Super Tycoon Yolanda, which is the international name is Haidayan, that hit the country on November 8, 2013, left widespread destruction in the Visayas, particularly on Yete and Samar Islands. Uswag and Carlito were flown to Tacloban City from the Davao City based Philippine Eco Foundation on June 11 before they were brought to Gorem Town. Laudio said that with the translocation of these eagles from Davao through the efforts of the PAF, they will ensure that these birds were not only protected but will also contribute to the repopulation of the species in Eastern Visayas. Uswak, a Awalay term for welcome, is the male eagle rescued from Mountain Apo in Davao City in 2023. It weighs 5.3 kilograms and is about 3 years old. Carlito, on the other hand, is a 5-year-old female eagle, weighs 5.8 kilograms, and was rescued from Trento, Agusan del Sur. In the next 4 years, PEAF plans to release 8 more young eagles in the forest of Beren and the rest of Yete. The PEF said the translocation of these eagles to Yete as part of their program to have these majestic birds flying in the skies of the province and at the same time ensure their safety from shooting, trapping, clubbing, poaching, and selling at their habitats in Mindanao. Paul Chief George Erwin Garcia has once again asked the National Bureau of Investigation to prop allegations that he supposedly received bribes from a South Korean firm. This after Garcia on July July 9 appealed to the NBI to look into allegations that he received bribes through offshore bank accounts. In another letter on Thursday, Garcia once again implored the NBI to conduct an investigation to clear his name. This investigation is essential to clear my name and support any related prosecution. These ramifications, apart from being criminal, appear to be aimed at sowing mistrust in our electoral system, manipulating our procurement system, and influencing ongoing cases before our courts, Garcia said. He then urged the NBI to also take into account the sworn waiver he earlier issued involving the bank accounts included in a certain document or white paper he received from former fellow Congressman Agar Reyes. I am requesting the AMLC or Anti-Money Laundering Council and the NBI to fully exercise their authority, including invoking mutual legal assistance and other international cooperation mechanisms to seek assistance from foreign jurisdictions in verifying the existence of these alleged bank accounts. This should include engaging with global counterparts and relevant financial intelligence units to ensure a comprehensive and transparent investigation, he added. He also requested the AMLC to confirm the possibility of cooperation with foreign jurisdictions to complete the investigation and to work with the NBI. Garcia himself already verified across several domestic banks the existence of alleged local bank accounts linked to the bribes, but all banks have so far responded that the accountants associated with him were non-existent. It was second party list Representative Rodante Marcoleta who first revealed that at least 1 billion pesos worth of funds were transferred from South Korean-based banks to 49 offshore accounts that are supposedly linked to an unnamed Comelec official. Garcia then immediately admitted that he was the one Marcoleta was referring to, quickly denying the existence of such accounts. He also called the lawmaker for not verifying the accusation first before publicizing it. And in business news, the Philippine peso is seen to appreciate back to the 57 level against the US dollar in the third quarter as more evidence of softening of the US economy began to emerge, which could weigh on the greenback. In its latest quarterly forecast, London-based Capital Economics said the local unit may trade at around 57.3 versus the US dollar in the third quarter. By the final quarter of the year, Peso Economics projects the peso to appreciate to 56. If realized, it will match the low end to the Marcos administration's 58 to 58 foreign exchange assumption for 2024. Jonathan Pertosan, senior markets economics at Capital Economics, said the dollar could come under pressure as more cracks emerge in the U.S. economy. Latest data showed that the U.S. jobless rate had gone up in June while U.S. manufacturing activity softened. The key emerging risk for the dollar now seems to be a weakening economy, pushing treasury yields even lower than we expect, even if it might benefit from a short-lived safe haven bid if risky assets flutter, President said in a commentary. The strength of the U.S. economy relative to the rest of the world is increasingly important to the outlook for the dollar. In recent weeks, data releases suggest the U.S. economy is losing momentum relative to other major economies, he added. After sinking near the record low 59 due to diverging rate outlook in the United States and dovish remarks from officials of the Banco Central de Filipinas, the peso managed to reverse some of its losses and is now trading at around 58.20 per dollar. Okay, 1 minute before 8, and now we will get ready for an 8 a.m. hour of koolNews early edition. Stick around, people. Stay here.
Is koolNews Early Edition.
Fellow good morning to everyone who just joined us right here on koolNews Early Edition. Welcome aboard to our program where we will give you some latest headlines and 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 updates where you need to know from yesterday and today. And we'll be here until 9 a.m. All right, so let's start. Okay, so let me give you a second. Okay, so let's check if we have brand new headlines for this hour. Well, not so far. All right then. So let's get into some business headlines. Alliance Global Group Incorporated (AGI), the listed holding firm of billionaire Andrew Yang, plans to spend 75 billion pesos this year to support expansion efforts. Such an amount would be AGI's largest capital spend since 2016. The company hopes that increased our outlays would make AGI the top player in the domestic lifestyle space. AGI, which has interest in real estate, liquor, hospitality, lecture, and fast food, understates that the planned capital expenditure capex this year represented a 19% increase. 90% increase from last year's actual capex of 63 billion pesos. More than 70% of the total, or 55 billion pesos, will go to the real estate business under Megaworld Corp. Megaworld plans to expand its portfolio this year to 35 townships from 31 currently, mostly through new developments outside Metro Manila. Kevin Tan, president and CEO of AGI, said they expect the reservation sales to grow up to 145 billion pesos this year on a strong growth from the real estate unit, particularly lifestyle malls and hotels. This is a 4.21% rate rise from last year's reservation sales of 139 billion pesos. We expect all segments of our real estate business to see good growth this year, with the strongest top line improvement likely to come from our lifestyle malls and hotel operations, Tang said during AGI's annual stockholders meeting. Our residential segment should also continue to do well, benefiting from high project completion and historically strong sales pickup, he added. Also, according to AGI, new hotel projects are expected to rise in Iloilo and Boracay. Lifestyle malls will be built in Cavite and Pampanga. New premium office buildings will be built in Iloilo, Balocot, and Pampanga. We are also confident that our premium office segment will maintain its above industry occupancy rate and performance, Tang said. As of 2023, Megaworld's office occupancy rate stood at 98.6% versus the industry's average of 81 to 88% in Metro Manila. The developer plans to rack up 3 million square meters of total space by the end of the decade from around 2 million square meters last year. Subsidiaries of the San Miguel and Ayala groups have offered low rates for Manila Electric Coast or Meralco and renewable energy supply needs totaling 500 megawatts. In a statement on Thursday, the power distributor said San Roque Hydropower Incorporated (SRHI), Gigacastle 3 Incorporated, and Santa Cruz Solar Energy System Incorporated offered to supply its clean energy requirements at rates below bid prices. SRHI is one of the subsidiaries under listed conglomerate San Miguel Corp through San Miguel Global Power Holdings Corporation, while Gigacastle 3 and SCSEI are part of Alia Corp's listed energy platform ACEN Corp. All three entities submitted bids below the 8.33.80 pesos per kilowatt hour reserve price set by Morocco for the competitive selection process. SHRI gave the lowest offer price of 7.10 pesos per kilowatt hour for the supply of 340 megawatts. Gigacastle 3 proposed 8.1819 pesos per kilowatt hour for 139 megawatts, while SCSEI is selling at 8.1998 pesos per kilowatt hour for 21 megawatts. Morocco City offers underwent a stringent pass-fail completeness assessment and pre-qualification evaluation, but a post-qualification assessment was still needed. Morocco has yet to set a schedule for the announcement of a winning bidder or bidders. Once finalized, the agreement will last for 10 years. It will cover Morocco's 350 megawatt mid-merit requirement beginning February 2025, increasing by 150 megawatts come February 2026. Mid-merit refers to supply fed into the transmission system to fill any gap in the stockpile caused by a shoot up in demand. Other electricity supplies, including Morocco, are mandated by the Department of Energy to procure a part of their annual energy demand from eligible renewable energy sources via the latter's renewable portfolio standards. Morocco has so far contracted 1,880 megawatts of renewable energy for various suppliers, exceeding its initial target of 1,500 megawatts. Through its strategic sourcing initiatives, renewable energy is expected to account for 22% of Morocco's supply portfolio by 2030, it added. While renewable energy is criticized for being more expensive than sun-based fuels, economics around the world are pushing for a more widespread use of cleaner sources to combat climate change. The Philippines is hoping to increase the share of renewable energy in the power mix to 35% by 2030 from the current 22%. So Bell family-led Bank of the Philippine Islands booked record profits in the first half of the year, driven by higher revenues as consumer loans climbed. BPI on Thursday said its bottom line in the January to June period expanded by 21.5% to 30.6 billion pesos. Meanwhile, revenues swelled by 23.8% to 81.2 billion pesos as the loan portfolio of the country's fourth largest bank grew, BPI stock exchange filing showed. Net interest income jumped by 22.2% to 61.3 billion pesos, with average loans rising by 18.4%. Non-interest income, meanwhile, surged by 28.7% to 19.9 billion pesos due to an increase in fee income, such as service charges and credit card fees, and foreign exchange gains of 2.2 billion pesos. Return on equity was flat at 15.5%. In the second quarter alone, BPI said earnings went up by 17.5% to 15.3%. I'm sorry, 15.3 billion pesos, while revenues grew by nearly a quarter to 41.7 billion pesos. Total loans stood at 2 trillion pesos, and 18% growth as personal loans ballooned. As of end June, assets of the Alia Group's banking arm rose by 15.8% to 3.1 trillion pesos. Earlier this month, BPI announced it would issue 5 billion pesos worth of bonds to fund its sustainability-related projects. The peso-denominated fixed-rate ASEAN sustainable bonds represent the third tranche of BPI's 100 billion pesos bond program approved in 2022. The offer period will run from July 18 to August 2, while listing of the Philippine Dealing and Exchange Corp is expected on August 9. The bonds, which will mature in 1.5 years, will be offered at the minimum amount of 500,000 pesos. Investors have the option to add investments in increments of 100,000 pesos. The first tranche, worth 20.3 billion pesos, was issued in January last year, proceeds of which will be used to provide financial assistance to micro, small, and medium enterprises. Meanwhile, funds raised from the 5 billion pesos second tranche in October will be used for general corporate purposes, BPI said. And the strengthening of the Philippine peso cheered up investors on Thursday, with the benchmark index reaching the 6,700 level after nearly 3 months. By the end of the session, the Philippine Stock Exchange Index added 0.26% or 17.3 points to 6,705.01. Meanwhile, the broader all shares index inched up by 0.23% or 8.24 points to 3,600 to 186. A total of 1.08 billion shares worth 4.61 billion pesos changed hands as foreigners made net purchases worth 385.96 million pesos, stock exchange data show. Mikhail Penyo, researcher at Philstocks Financial Incorporated, said investors perked up due to the continuous improvement of the Philippine peso against the US dollar. The local currency closed trading at 58.525 against the US dollar on Thursday, after approaching earlier this month the record weakest exchange rate of 59 pesos, $1 that was reached in 2022. London-based think tank Capital Economics also said the peso may return to the 57 pesos $1 level by the end of the year due to a weakening U.S. economy. Banks led the gainers with a 2.55% increase, buoyed by Ayala-led Bank of the Philippine Islands rally after posting a record for semester profit of 30.6 billion pesos, up by 21.5%. Alia Land Incorporated was the top traded stock as it slipped by 2.21% to 30.95 pesos per share. It was followed by PPI, which surged by 4.3% to 126 pesos. BDO Union Bank Incorporated up 2.22% to 142.50 pesos. SM Prime Holdings Incorporated unchanged at 29.80 pesos, and SM Investments Corp down 2.28% to 902 pesos each. Other actively traded stocks were International Container Terminal Services Incorporated down 0.38% to 363 pesos. Metropolitan Bank and Trustco up 1.23% to 68.50 pesos. GT Capital Holdings Incorporated up 1.68% to 607 pesos. Philex Petroleum Corp, which plunged by 7.78% to 4.15 pesos. And Universal Robina Corp up 0.17% to 190 pesos. Losers edged out gainers 89 to 80, while 59 companies closed unchanged. All right, it is now, excuse me again. It is now 30 minutes after 8, which is 8:13 in the morning, and we still have a lot more to come up until 9 o'clock, so stick with us. koolNews Early Edition will return after these messages. Welcome back to koolNews Early Edition. Let's continue with the headlines. Okay, let's just double check if we have brand new headlines right now. If not, we can go on to um. Okay, we do have a new headlines. Let's cover the what's happening in Cebu. Okay, give me a second. Oh yeah, also to let viewers and listeners know, we will be repeating a cool news, cool weather, not cool. I'm sorry, but a cool weather forecast that was aired earlier in a 6 a.m. hour. So you will get to watch or hear it again later after we're done with the headlines for Descom. Okay, so now let's get into the Cebu news. After the Palarong Pambansa 2024 in Cebu City, Cebuano athletes, primarily the champions of the Cebu Schools Atlantic Foundation Incorporated, SAFAI, will shift their attention to the National Private Schools Athletic Association, PRISA, games which will be held in Legazpi City, albeit from July 26 to, I'm not, no, sorry, from July 20 to 26. Over 500 athletes, comprising both team and individual champions from last year's SAFAI 2023 season, will represent Region 7 in the National PRISA Games, according to PRISA's Deputy Secretary General for Visayas, Bernard Rica Blanca. The competition will be tougher due to the hungry new delegation from Negros Island region. Remember, during the Palarong Pambansa, Western Visayas, which mostly consisted of Negros athletes, placed third overall in the medal rankings. So we expect a good challenge for them, especially kung kampante kayuta. So that's what Rica Blanca said, who is from Cebu. Last year, Region 7 PRISA or PRISAA finished with a total of 63 medals, 21 gold, 28 silver, and 30 bronze in Zamboanga City. Region 6 or Western Visayas emerged as the top delegation with 88 gold, 48 silver, and 77 bronze medals. Rica Blanca noted that the separation of Central Visayas for member cities and towns now part of Negros Island will surely affect their gold medal campaign. We all know how thrilled Negros Islands archers are, and in some sports events too. That's why our athletes from Region 7, from Cebu and Bohol, must give their best to maintain a position in the medal rankings at the Rica Blanca. Nevertheless, he is confident that Cebu and Bohol's Parisa athletes will exceed his expectations, especially in important sports such as basketball, volleyball, football, swimming, and weightlifting, where they have high chances of winning gold medals. The opening ceremony on July 21 at the Pico University BU Sports Complex in Legazpi City will feature PRISAA National Board Chairman Rep. For Vic Roy, STV, SPD, Philippine Sports Commission Chairman Richard Bachman, Senior Bongo, PLC Commissioner Edward Heiko, and Legazpi City Mayor Carmen Geraldine Rosal as VIPs. Around 400 policemen who were deployed during the Palarong Pambansa 2024 were commended in a Thanksgiving ceremony on on Thursday, July 18, 2024. The Palarong Pambansa Corps were officially pulled up from their deployment and returned to their units. To honor the dedication of these police officers, Cebu City Police Office Director Police Colonel Areno Logdog commended the Corps for their dedication and sacrifices in ensuring that this year's Palarong Pambansa was peaceful and successful. During the Thanksgiving event in the CCPO headquarters, the police officers were treated to a brutal fight. In an interview with local media, the Dog said a brutal fight is part of the tradition, yes. This is in Cebu, ano, statement, the Dog said or stated, product ay mga augmentation of personal kitkan sa mga lane 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 ng city police office o provincial police office bago sila magkuli sa ilang mga respective units na tampudo pag-isip o sa pagpasasalamat sa ilaha. The doc also relayed a message of Police Regional Office, Police Regional Office 7, PRO-7 Director, Police Brigadier General Antonio Abarin to the Malarong Pampanga Corps. Your credit goes to the men and women of CCPO under your able, active, and allied leadership. Congratulations and keep up the good work. Mauna ang response ni RD, said Dalog. Furthermore, Dalog extended Berlin's gratitude towards the police officers, especially the augmented police units from Cebu Police Professional Office, Banduquet City Police Office, Lapu-Lapu City Police Office, and all of their partner agencies. Dalog said that around 180 personnel from the Regional Mobile Police Battalion have already been pulled out before Thursday. Most of the deployed Palarong Pampanga corps returned to their units right after the game's closing ceremony on Tuesday, July 17. Only 400 officers remain until Thursday and were able to attend the Thanksgiving event. According to Download Dog, there are still more than 3,000 Palaro delegates left in their billeting quarters. For the remaining delegates, the personnel of the local police stations are tasked to give them security. Download Dog also showed that police will remain on full alert until all the delegates from other regions have returned home. Furthermore, he emphasized that the success of the recently concluded Palarong Complex of 2024 was the fruit of the very comprehensive, well-coordinated, and flexible security coverage. Tungkol sa itong commitment, tungkol sa atong serbisyo, tungkol sa atong steadfast collaboration with other agencies at ang mga private sectors na nga ang himong instrumental in making this sports event a success, the Love Talk stated. I will just double check real quick. Making sure I don't want to cover again that we covered earlier. So, just give me a second. All right, now into the business news. Say family-led SM Investments Corp has raised $500 million from the offshore debt market, marking its largest bond issuance abroad in a decade, as the country's largest conglomerate gears up for aggressive expansion. In a statement on Thursday, SMIC said the issuance, part of its European Medium-Term Notes (EMTN) program, was 3.2 times oversubscribed, with final demand reaching $1.6 billion. The bonds, which will mature in 5 years, will be listed on the Singapore Exchange, SMIC added. They were priced to yield 5.466% or 135 basis points above the US Treasury benchmark. These also have a coupon rate of 5.375% per year. This represents the annual interest rate that SMIC will pay to lenders. Our establishment of the frontier, especially in times of volatility, SMIC Chair Armando Tentanco Jr. said, "We believe that the positive reception of this maiden issuance is a testament to the investability of quality Philippine corporates. EMTNs, which are issued outside the United States and Canada, give issuers the flexibility to tailor their debt issuance to their specific funding requirements and diversify creditor base. SMIC said 87% of the notes were distributed in Asia and 30% in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. By investor type, 83% went to fund managers, 11% to financial institutions, and 6% to private banks. The issuance is also SMIC's largest offering since 2014, where it raised $350 million from an offering of $10 denominated bonds. The government plans to boost capital spending this year by 44% to 115 billion pesos to support expansion in the provinces, which SMIC said could allow more access to modern retailing, financial services, and integrated property developments. Property arm SM Holdings will get the biggest share of at 100 billion pesos to fund the launch of 4 new local malls and 10,000 residential units. Meanwhile, the group's lecture estate and gaming arm, Belle Corp, confirmed that subsidiary Premium Lecture Corp had already applied for a new gaming license. However, Belle clarified that details of potential investments, specifically whether PLC would develop an integrated casino in Clark, were still too preliminarily at this point, considering that the application has yet to be acted on by regulators. We will, of course, make the appropriate disclosures once investment decisions have been made firm, Belle said in a separate disclosure. PLC accepted the local bros on July 9 after Belle had brought out the gaming investment from minority shareholders. As a result, Belle now holds 99.95% of PLC, whose wholly owned subsidiary Premium Lecture and Amusement Incorporated is part of the consortium that holds the gaming license for City of Dreams, Manila. Excuse me again. Excuse me. Okay, so I don't know why it's with me today. All right, so no more new headlines. No more, but no new headlines on Inquirer for now. So let's go to Reuters for more international news. This is coming from Reuters, and yes, we will be heading into international headlines now. President Joe Biden was soul-searching about dropping his Democratic re-election campaign, a source said, while Donald Trump prepared to accept the Republican presidential nomination in what aides said would be an unusually reflective speech. The fortunes of the two candidates appear to be on opposite trajectories on Thursday in the run-up to the November 5 election. Biden, who is the age of 81, was isolated at his Delaware home after contracting COVID-19, while facing a growing revolt from Democrats who urged him to step aside to avert a landslide defeat. His doctor said he was experiencing mild symptoms. Trump, age of 78, has backed all week in adolescence at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee after surviving Saturday's assassination attempt at the Pennsylvania rally. Trump's acceptance speech, scheduled for 10 p.m. Eastern Time, offers him a chance to lay out his vision for a second White House term before a primetime national television audience. Biden has faced increasing pressure from heavyweights in his party to de-seat his position at the top of the ticket after an erratic June 27 debate performance against Trump. Former House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi is among those who have told him he cannot win in November, according to a White House source familiar with the matter. After weeks of insisting that he will remain in the race, Biden is now taking calls to step aside seriously, and multiple Democratic officials think an exit is a matter of time, according to sources familiar with the matter. Democratic leaders in the House and Senate Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have told Biden directly that he will not only lose the White House but also endanger their effort to win back the House, according to reports in multiple news outlets. Opinion polls show four of the seven most competitive states looking increasingly out of reach for Biden. The campaign, the Trump campaign, meanwhile, said it believes it is now competitive in Democratic-leaning states, including Minnesota, New Hampshire, and Virginia. We are expanding the map. A senior campaign advisor, speaking on condition of anonymity to reporters. So far, only 20 out of 264 Democrats in Congress have publicly called on Biden to drop out following the debate, while more have expressed their concerns privately. The debate raised questions about Biden's ability to win and to carry on in a high-pressure job for another 4 years if he were to succeed. Representative Adam Scove, a senior House lawmaker running for a Senate seat in California, became the latest Democrat to call on Biden to bow out on Wednesday. White House officials believe Scove was backed by Pelosi, according to a White House source speaking on condition of anonymity. That could be an anonymous sign for Biden, as the former House Speaker is still one of the most influential Democrats in Washington. Nancy is all over this. She doesn't miss, this was said. Some lawmakers say Biden may now be more open to stepping aside. He's done what's best for America. I think he will keep doing so, Democratic U.S. Senator John Hickenlooper told Reuters. He's working towards that. Hickenlooper declined to say whether he believed Biden should step aside as a candidate. Former President Barack Obama has told others that Biden, who was Obama's vice president, should rethink his candidacy, the Washington Post reported, citing anonymous sources. Trump will cap the 4-day Republican convention with his first public address since the assassination attempt. Lara Trump, the nominee's daughter-in-law, who serves as Republican National Committee co-chair, said the assassination attempt had prompted him to revise his acceptance speech and emphasize unity. I don't think you can go through what he went through on Saturday, really a near-death experience, and not come out on the other side impacted, Lara Trump said. Vice President Kamala Harris, who could vie for the Democratic nomination should Biden pull out, said Trump's call for unity would have little credibility given his persistent refusal to acknowledge his 2020 election defeat. We're too busy watching what you're doing to hear what you're saying, she said at a campaign rally in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So far, the convention has highlighted the Republican Party's broad support for Trump, with former rivals including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley offering strong endorsements of his candidacy. With most dissent quelled and his grip on the party never tighter, Trump will be in a much stronger position than in his 2017 to 2021 term to follow through on his agenda if he wins the election. While those independents spoke of uniting the country, many former party stalwarts of uniting the country. I'm sorry, I think I just mixed the words up, okay? I'll repeat. While those in attendance spoke of uniting the country, many former party stalwarts, including some critics of Trump, were notably absent. Among them were former President George W. Bush, former Representative Liz Cheney, Trump's former Vice President Mike Pence, and Senator Mitt Romney. Okay, there you go. So that is coming from Reuters. It is now 20 minutes before 9, and we will now be getting ready for the repeat of cool weather forecasts that we aired earlier at 6 a.m. hour. All right, we are ready now. So it is now time for the repeat of cool weather from Pagasa Weather Specialist Cesar D. Aurelio.
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Narito po ang ating weather update. Halos sa buong bansa ay makakaranas po tayo ng maulan na panahon dahil sa habagat at low pressure area. Ang mga lugar po na makakaranas ng mga kalat-kalat na pag-ulan at thunderstorm ay sa Central Luzon, Metro Manila, Calabarzon, Bicol Region, Mimaropa, buong Visayas at buong Mindanao. Paalala po sa mga kababayan po natin sa mga nabanggit na lugar, patuloy pa rin tayong mag-ingat at maging alerto dahil nandiyan pa rin po ang banta ng pagguho ng lupa o pagbaha. Yung pong lalabing bahagi po ng Luzon, yung po nakikita, fair weather po tayo ngayong araw. Usan makakaranas po tayo ng bahagyang maulap hanggang sa maulap ang papurin, maliban sa mga isolated na mga pag-ulan. Yung pong habagat, inyo makikita, naapektuhan na po o naapektuhan pa rin ang malaking bahagi po na ating bansa. Inyo makikita, halos buong bansa ay nakaranas po ng maulap na kalangitan na may mga pag-ulan. Yung pong low pressure area ay nasa bandang West Philippine Sea, nasa layong 135 kilometers west-southwest ng Calapan City, Oriental Mindoro. Samantala, meron pong nabuong pangalawang low pressure area nasa loob po ng ating Philippine Area of Responsibility. Kasalukuyan, wala pong epekto ito sa ating bansa. Nasa layong 880 kilometers silangan ng Eastern Visayas. Ito pong low pressure area nasa West Philippine Sea sa araw ng Sabado o bukas ay inaasahan po natin kikilos pakanluran. At maaari pong bukas, nasa labas nito ng ating Philippine Area of Responsibility. Itong pagkilos o inaasing pagkilos ng pangalawang low pressure area ay January west-northwest at maaari pong lumapit po sa may bandang east ng Northern Luzon. Sa ating maging lagyan na panahon bukas, araw ng Sabado, asahan pa rin po natin ang kalat-kalat ng pag-ulan at thunderstorm doon na naman po sa may Ilocos Region, Bataan at Zambales. Dahil po itong habagat ay unti-unti na pong kikilos pakaluran dahil itong low pressure area ay may impluwensya kay habagat. Kaya bukas, itong habagat ay maapektuhan na lamang po ang kalurang bahagi ng Northern Luzon at ng Central Luzon. Sa linggo naman ay patuloy na itong lalayo itong habagat sa ating bansa, kaya ang buong bansa ay makakaranas po ng fair weather, kung saan ay bahagyang maulap hanggang sa maulap ang kalangitan, maliban lang po sa mga isolated na mga pag-ulan. At yun naman pong pangalawang low pressure area na buo po sa ating PER. Bukas, Sabado at Linggo, inaasahan po natin wala pang epekto sa ating bansa. Paalala, patuloy pa rin tayo maging updates sa ating pinapalabas na public weather forecast, weather advisory, lalo po itong binabantay nating dalawang low pressure area at kasama rin po itong epekto ng southwest monsoon o habagat. Ang araw pong sisikat sa ganap pong 5:36 ng umaga, ang araw lulubog sa ganap na 6:29 ng hapon. Yan po ang ating weather update mula sa Pag-asa. Ako po si Alzar D. Aurelio.
Just before we go to commercial break, we have received the news from our fellow koolNews anchor, Robin Williams, has passed away, which we'll get into that later in part of the entertainment headlines that's coming up. All right. We have a lot to cover, and the last guide will be covering entertainment headlines. So yeah, it is now 15 minutes before 9. So koolNews Early Edition will return after these messages. We will be right back. Welcome back to koolNews Early Edition. Okay, so we have 7 minutes before we leave you to Music Soul and Asker. So let's start with the entertainment headlines now. Starting with Robin Williams, as we all know, the famous worst acting, if I remember correctly, has passed away. So let's get into the. Oh yeah, actually he's an actor. I'm sorry, he is an actor. So yeah, actually that's a long time, but we still remember there's one of his thing here. Let me just go check here what Stephen said here. Okay, never mind. This is just this is a false alarm. It's my fault on that one. Anyways, but yeah, seriously, let's get into the business. Not business. Sorry, entertainment headlines now. So yeah, just reviewed what I said earlier. After the sentence that I just said earlier after the cold water. So my bet on that. That's actually an old news. So uh, please discard what I just said earlier. But anyways, let's get into the entertainment showbiz now. Wait for it. There it is. Girl Liza de Castro expressed her desire to have P-pop powerhouse Beanie as a guest on the next season of Running Man Philippines. In her ex-formulator account, the Kapuso actress responded to a question from a fan asking, Beshi, kayo ng inyo imbitahan sa Running Man Philippines ng Beanie? Ang Beanie, I mean. Manifest natin ito. Manifest natin ito, she said. Pag season 3 tapos kompleto kaming 8 para pairing kami. Hi hi. As of this writing, the actress' response received almost 5,000 likes on X, and Beanie's fans called Blooms expressed their enthusiasm for the future appearance of the 8 girls on the show. OMG, sana magbigyan ng chance, gusto ko makikita barga nila sa tanggalan ng name tag, said one fan. Gusto ko nila pamanood na tanggalan ng tax love competition ng yan sila. Walang bining-bining dyan, basta competition sa usapan. Added one necessary. Di pa naman sigurado pero excited na kaming mga Blooms, wrote another fan. Di Castro is one of the cast members of the reality competition based on the South Korean television variety series of the same title. Running Man Philippines also stars Michael Diaz, Angel Guardian, Coco de Santos, Ubar Villar, Lexi Gonzalez, and Miguel Tenflix. Meanwhile, Pining has been rising to great fame lately for releasing hits after hits including Tropico, Salamin Salamin, and Carrera, among others. Last week, the 8-piece Go Group released their comeback single, Cherry on Top, with its music video gatherings over 7.3 million views. The nation's Go Group is set to take P-pop into the international spotlight after they were invited to perform at KCON LA, one of the biggest K-pop events in the United States, and will be gracing the M Countdown concert pre-show on July 27, 2024. Beanie is composed of 8 multi-talented ladies, namely Ayla, Colette, Maloy, Gewen, Stetley, Mika, Jehoanna, and Sheena. And we will have one more entertainment headline before we wrap it up. Alex Gonzaga has earned 14 million YouTube subscribers. So, she has now She now has 40 million subscribers about 7 years since she started vlogging. The actress vlogger celebrated the milestone through her Instagram page on Wednesday, July 17th. Hi netizens, 2 days before I celebrate the 7th year of my video channel, we reached 40 million. She exclaimed, "Maayo na pero malayo pa, mahal ko kayo." In a separate post, she credited her supporters for being with her and for helping her reach the milestone. "Mahal ko kayo netizens. Ginampang natin to ng magkakasama," she wrote. Among those who sent their congratulatory greeting for Gonzaga were broadcaster Carolyn Davila and Senator Lauren Ricarda, who both collaborated with the actress in some of her vlogs. And that is it for koolNews Early Edition. As always, thank you so much for joining us for your source of your morning headlines and to start your day with us right here on koolNews Early Edition. We will be back with more headlines later with koolNews at 11 a.m., koolNews at noon, 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and prime time at 9 before my Tulogans come back. And if you have any news tip or feedback you want to send us, you can email it to tvh.philippines.news@gmail.com. Until then, I am Asper and hope yourselves a very good morning. Stay safe and take care. And we will see you later for more at 11. Goodbye for now and good morning.